Don't love the fact that he has inside jokes with Elliot Wolf, although it is funny that his first press conference, the inside joke quickly became an outside joke. He let us all in on it.
It's true.
He's like, I want to say this to try to make one person laugh, but in fact sort of tell you how I feel about the roster. Yeah, that's a general, like, we need good ones. Like, before we get into specifics, good ones. And you don't have a lot of good ones.
I mean, you can certainly view that as a dig at Wolf. I think the full context of some of those answers, it was not great. If you want Elliot Wolf gone, and I think this lends credence to what Charles Robinson reported yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know why Elliot Wolf has such pull with Robert Kraft and why
you need a
Mike
guy.
Vrabel is interested. But why does Mike Vrabel, what does he see in Elliot Wolf that he says, yeah, I'll work with this guy?
It might not be his choice.
Well, I thought he would have more say.
Yeah, I think he has say to if I had to guess, Ryan Cowden, he was asked directly about Ryan Cowden, personnel guy with him in Tennessee, who's now with the Giants. I bet he's going to get to bring a guy with him.
Yeah.
But they're not going to have final say right away. I don't think.
Look, maybe he likes him, but I just feel like if Mike Vrabel said to Robert Kraft, hey, if you get rid of Elliott, I'll take the job. If you don't, I'm going to take the Raiders job. Don't you think Robert would have gotten rid of Elliott?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what, but maybe that's just me sort of putting that out there. Maybe Mike Vrabel likes him,
maybe.
And I don't really know why.
So, again, Robinson
was it the Jalen
said,
Polk pick or the Baker pick?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
In totality.
The combo over Ladd
Yeah.
McConkey was actually really where it came down to.
I'm hearing Giants personnel advisor Ryan Cowden is expected to be added to the Patriots personnel mix, but not with a GM title. The Patriots have never given out that title, by the way. Under Robert Kraft, they've never done it. I believe Elliot Wolf will retain personnel power. Important. However, Cowden's addition to the front office is Vrabel's preference. Dynamics will be interesting. And, just reading through, again, just some of the things I jotted down. Just looking for Elliot Wolf's name. Okay, he's going to laugh. We go on to get good players. We just played you that one. He was asked about roster control. We need a shared organizational vision. I've had conversations with Elliot. He was asked directly about Cowden. He said, Elliot and I have had conversations. Nothing's finalized, things to be determined, blah, blah, blah. And then about having options. Could have gone to the Raiders. I think Robinson reported today if the Cowboys job ever opened up, which, by the way, it is now. Mike McCarthy out in Dallas. That just happened in the last hour while we were playing the Vrabel press conference.
Really strange.
He was asked about all the options, and he said, well, I had an open dialogue with Robert and Jonathan. That was critical, along with Elliot and his staff.
Yeah, he's all over Elliot.
So I don't think maybe Vrabel likes him, number one, and he's willing to work with him, or number two, Vrabel's not going to have personnel power right away. So the Wolfpack survives, Keefe.
Yes. In fact, he's the only one that I think you can confidently say that about. The rest of the front office and the rest of the coaching staff could all be gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't know. Like they didn't fire anybody besides Mayo, so it feels like it's all right. This is going to be up to Vrabel. But another way of looking at it, it's up to Vrabel and Wolf. Like, who's going to stick around? Because he didn't really get into specifics, but I mean, you can imagine there's going to be quite a few other changes.
It's Jones and Keefe. We're obviously late from that press conference. It ran about 40 minutes, so we'll give you all our thoughts on it. 617-779-7937. A bunch of you waiting patiently. We'll get to you. What else jumped out? We said Vrabel. Vrabel gave you a lot of substance.
Yeah, I thought
Mayo
he was
did
solid.
A lot of Elliot Wolf. What else?
Yeah,
jumped
overall,
out?
I thought he was solid. One point I liked, and it reminds me of the old Patriot teams, and I'm not saying you want to just do a blueprint of that. However, they were very successful. Was his first point about, not his first point, but his point about taking advantage of other teams' mistakes. That is such a great place to start, because Jerod Mayo highlighted all of the close games they were in. It's like, yeah, but you lost most of those close games. And there were plenty of times where you were the team that would make a stupid mistake, and then the other team would capitalize on that. And it doesn't mean that you're great, but it's a very easy way to get to, say, 500. And then from there, can you kind of build on it? Because there's so much parity in the league. There's the whole any given Sunday thing. Anybody can beat anybody and all this crap. And he made a point to say that's what we want to do, but he's not even sure that they're there. Like, he's looking at the roster, like, I'm not sure we can do that. But that jumped out to me, because if you can just take advantage of another dumb how many years did the Patriots dominate bad quarterbacks? And half the league is bad quarterbacks.
20 years.
For 20 years, they just smoked bad quarterbacks, and teams or dumb things other coaches would do, right? Like other coaches. And I think that's what happened this year, where a lot of teams saw how Jerod Mayo coached, and they may have won it that way. If you can win those close games, you can easily jump up 4 or 5 wins.
Well, I think he said that too. He was asked about Drake May. He said, my involvement is going to be as it relates to game management and situational awareness. So they want to be good in those spots. But he said, our goals are to win the AFC East, host home playoff games, and compete for championships. He made it clear I'm not going to give a timeline on that.
Right.
But those are our goals. Then he said,
which is smart because we held the Mayo thing. I guarantee you we're going to win more than 4 games.
right.
Like, you don't want to do that.
Don't
help you.
Don't put an artificial, goal or set a limit on it. He did say right now we want to be good enough to take advantage of bad football. That's where we'll start. He said, I'm not sure we're good enough to do that right now.
No.
And so
I think that's solid.
I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting. He said it was important to him to go forge his own path.
Yes.
Not just come here. He said if the opportunity ever came where I could go to New England, it would happen. But I thought it was important to forge my own path.
I don't look at that as a shot at Mayo. I think he's more speaking like just of his own experience.
I think it's a shot at a lot of guys on the Bill tree, to be honest.
Well, maybe. I think, but it's a good juxtaposition because he was a player for Bill, never coached for Bill.
Right.
But he went to Ohio State. He went to Houston. He went to Tennessee. Even this last year, he wasn't completely out of football. Now, I don't know how much credit you give him for being around that horrible Cleveland team, but it was still another network. It was working with Kevin Stefanski, meeting a lot more people. So it kind of broadened his horizons. Whereas when Gerard Mayo took the job, it's like, who do you know? I know Covington. You're like, okay, great.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Terrific.
Not really. I worked with Curran on quick slants. They're like, okay. Anything else?
Boy, he went on and on about Karen.
Yes.
They all love Karen.
He's very complimentary of Karen.
And Kraft loves Vrabel's wife.
Yeah, he's got a big bouquet of flowers. There's a lot of flowers.
Careful there. Both you guys are married guys.
So here's what if I'm in that situation and I'm Vrabel's wife, I got to hold these flowers now for the next how long?
Yeah.
Then what?
Oh, Karen, hello.
Robert,
what do you do with the flowers?
Robert walks out the back of the room. They're just in a garbage bin. He's like, what?
She's like, what are these? You want me to carry these around Foxborough all day?
Wherever you go, all day long.
Man.
These are from Thundercat.
It's a great idea, but please. I think the majority of fans wanted him. Even throughout this year, you got calls for Vrabel. Last year, there were calls for Vrabel. I remember last year around this time, before they had hired Mayo, that couple days when Belichick was out, and some of the reporting had started to pop up that Mayo was going to just be promoted to that job, but nobody wanted Mayo.
No.
Nobody actually wanted Mayo. People either wanted to keep Bill or they wanted Vrabel, or you and I wanted somebody completely away from the tree. But those were kind of the three options. Nobody wanted Mayo. So Vrabel had a lot of support last year, and then seeing the way that Mayo failed this year, there was even more call for Vrabel. So you're going to win that. He's good in these situations. Also, something that Mayo wasn't good at.
No.
Which we didn't know going in. In fact, we thought the opposite. We thought he was going to be good at press conferences and interacting with the media and answering questions, and he was in way over his head. Vrabel's good with that. He does seem personality standpoint, an excellent head coach. It's sort of being the face of the place. Mike Vrabel can do that. And now my questions are, who's your offensive coordinator and who's picking the players? And it seems like Elliott Wolf is still going to be a big part of picking the players, which gives me a lot of concern. I like Vrabel, but I don't like Elliott Wolf. And it's still TBD on the offensive coordinator thing.
So on the coordinators, Curran asked him about offensive and defensive. He said, far from solidified. He did say, as long as I'm coach here, coaches have three simple jobs: teach, develop, inspire.
I like it.
But no specifics on McDaniels or anybody else. In fact, he said it's far from solidified. As for roster control and, who would be with him in the front office, including Ryan Cowden, he was asked directly about that. Giardi asked him about roster control. He said shared organizational vision for what we want to do, conversations with Elliott.
This guy's got his hooks in on the franchise.
We don't always need to agree, but we're going to have a shared organizational vision. And then he was asked directly about Ryan Cowden, who Vrabel wanted as GM in Tennessee in his last days there. He's been in New York the last couple of years. Charles Robinson at Yahoo Sports reported he will be coming to New England, though Wolf will still be in charge of personnel. He said Elliott and I will have conversations.
Yeah.
Nothing's been finalized. Nothing has been determined. There's going to be turnover, which is good. New coaches, new faces. That's what the process is.
Need some new players. Need some new coaches.
Including good ones.
Yeah.
Elliott. Don't draft the sucky ones anymore. Get the good ones.
Well, last year, going into the draft, it was pretty obvious who they should take at number 3. There was 3 top-end quarterbacks. It was out of your control. The 2 teams ahead of you were taking quarterbacks, so you took who was there. This year, man, you could ask 10 different NFL people, what would you do with the 4th pick? And you might get 10 different answers.
Yeah, you would answer Travis Hunter.
I would have Travis Hunter right now.
I think if you watched Penn State the other night, a lot of people would say Abdul Carter.
I'm kind of talking myself into that.
Are you?
I'm very offensive-minded, but this guy's a freak show.
He looked incredible in that game.
Yeah.
I'll acknowledge that. I wasn't super high on him at the 4th pick, but he looked awesome in that game. I still like the idea of getting another corner across from Gonzalez. So your guy Hunter, Will Johnson at Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. So you could go corner, you could go wide out, you could go lineman, you could go pass rusher, or you could go trade down.
But listening to Vrabel, really my real answer is I would trade down. But if I'm picking it for, what would I do? I think he told you the O-line is going to be important. And I think
BHA.
I think he made that.
BSHA. Best smart hoss available.
Is it the best hoss or the best smart hoss?
Well, a caller wanted 3 smart hosses coming in, and he might get his wish. We'll see. Fourth pick, you could. I'm still pissed that they don't have the first pick. We should talk about that every day until the draft.
We should.
They have the 4th pick. That's still something.
Vrabel was asked about his top priorities. He said, look what's available in free agency, see what you can sign. So he started with free agency. Then he said, look at the teams that can protect the quarterback through free agency or the draft. That's something that's critical. So that might have been a clue as to what they're going to do either in free agency or at number 4. But that's how he envisions building the team. I think that's how they built him in Tennessee.
I think it's another
O-line, D-line is how they built it.
Yeah, and I think this is another advantage to being on 3 different NFL teams in some role, right? Obviously, head coach at Tennessee versus consultant with Cleveland's different, but you sort of see it through a different lens. So it's not just this is how the Patriots do things. This is how the Patriots would take players. This is what they would do with those players. He has a lot more experience with that, so that is a good thing.
Okay, I've been promising some phone calls here. Let's get to them. 617-779-7937. You could jump in line on Mike Vrabel, and still, if you want to talk about Keefe and the Bruins, we can get back into that as well. Jeff is in the van. Go ahead, Jeff.
Just a quick question. Do they qualify for Hard Knocks? I'd love to see the behind the scenes.
Not with a new coach, Jeff.
No, if you have a rookie, well, not rookie coach, but first-year coach for a team, you don't have to do it. So I think they're probably not.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate it, guys.
Okay.
Love the show.
Okay, that was it. He said Patriots and Crafts was what he wanted to talk about, but apparently it was Hard Knocks.
If they kept Mayo, they would have been eligible for the first time, maybe ever, right? Because like playoff teams don't have to do it, or it's like if you miss the playoffs for like multiple years, new head coach, and there's like one other caveat.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
maybe
stipulations.
if you just have done it before. Mm-hmm. So like they hadn't really been eligible in a long time. I think if they kept Bill one more year, they could have done it, or if they kept Mayo one more year, they could have done it. But so they'll avoid it once again.
Randy is in Providence. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, I'm excited about Vrabel as the coach. I remember working the game he came up for the Hall of Fame there, and it just felt like it was such a shame that he was going back to Tennessee. But I wanted to talk about the offensive staff. I don't know, we don't know, obviously, if McDaniels is the guy, but it's got to be a possibility. And I think with or without him, I'd be interested in hearing what you guys think about Brian Hartline and Justin Fry being on the offensive staff somewhere. They're at Ohio State now, wide receiver and offensive line coaches respectively, and they've done a great job putting out quality talent into the league over the past 5 years.
Yeah, I'm not trying to reach to offensive assistants at Ohio State personally.
Yeah, I mean you got Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, so he's the third guy, right?
And here's the thing: what do we hear over and over and over again about Vrabel? You got to come in. You need guys who have done it. Now I'm going to bring in a bunch of guys from college. No thanks.
All right, Brian Hartline or Josh McDaniels?
As my offensive coordinator, I would go McDaniels.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I don't want McDaniels here. He's not my top choice, but I would go with
Josh
him in that
McCown
scenario.
or Josh McDaniels.
I would go McCown.
Yeah, me too. He has that. He worked with May in high school, for God's sakes. But then, I don't know, working with Sam Darnold and the Vikings, like it's something different. I like that.
This remains my takeaway with Vrabel. And, he gave you some of this in the press conference. No more excuses. That's done. You're going to take advantage of bad football. Guys are going to be on time. They're going to be respectful, et cetera, et cetera. No more excuses. Can't stub your toe in year one. You got to go out and be competitive. You got to go out and be good right away. There might have been an excuse. I'm not saying it would have been satisfactory, but with Ben Johnson, there's an excuse. He's never been a head coach before. So there's some learning on the job.
Yep.
There's no learning on the job here.
No.
So you got to get it done. You got to get it done immediately. And I think there was way more substance from Vrabel today than there was from Mayo a year ago. We'll see if that works out, but I think that's an immediate takeaway.